Hello, I'm Jay Murdoch, Business Development Manager at APOS Systems. I'm glad to be joined today by Fred Walder, our Senior Solution Consulting Manager. Fred, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jay. Thanks.
Today, we're going to be discussing a critical step in simplifying your business objects upgrade, the pre-migration planning. We've discussed in the past about the importance of a system audit and system backup. Today, it's going to be about system optimization. So, Fred, can you take us through why it's so important to work towards system optimization when you're planning a upgrade of your BI environment?
Yeah, you want to have a good running system that isn't going to lag when the load gets higher. So when we have a lot of people logging in or we have a lot of reports being run, we don't want our resources to be consumed totally. So we need to know things like the baseline run times for our critical reports, the resource consumption by our business object services, all these different areas we want to take a look at. A business object system can be described as being bursty. That is, it uses resources in a bursted way. So when people log in first thing in the morning, when a number of reports are kicked off, it's going to really jump up in terms of resource consumption. So you don't want your system to grind to a halt when these resources are being constrained. So you don't want to size a system for average consumption. So it's important to know what your system is using, and you can work with your IT department then to size your business object system appropriately for your new targeted system.
So I guess you're saying you want to plan it for hitting the peak, not the average, because the average would grind down during peak, for example, or a new anticipated peak. That's great. Okay, so you're going to start off with these baselines, the BI service baselines. You're talking about working with the IT people, the SAP Business Objects. What's the discussion point here around the usage baselines? What do they want to be communicating?
Right, and it's all about, as you mentioned, Jay, the peak. We average is good to know, and it's good to know that averagely I'm using a certain amount of RAM, but it's really important also to know what the peak was, so that when my system is under strain from a lot of usage, a lot of logins, that we're going to have enough resources to back that up. So we have to size the system correctly. We've kind of got one shot at this. We have to do it right at the beginning. You know, the old adage is go big or go home. So make sure you go big, so that you have enough resources. So having these values at your fingertips, so when you're talking to the IT team, you can talk intelligently to them.
Terrific. Okay, so you've got the baselines there. We have other baselines, the report runtime. So running these reports, you're going to get baselines. What's the criticality of that for the managers?
Sure. So knowing what the average runtime for a report is, so then now you can compare it later on. Also helping you determine what the system resource requirements might be, and also helping you determine what the best runtime windows for reports are. So rather than scheduling everything to run, for example, at 11 p.m., why don't we sort of stagger that and say have a group run at 11, a group run at 12, a group run at 1, etc., so that we're making use of the time that we have between, for example, 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. when our staff starts to show up, so that we have a good handle on usage of our resources.
Terrific. And then the schedule usage. It's not a baseline, but it's an analysis. Why is it so important to understand the usage of the schedules? Why is it so important to build this into your planning, your pre-planning around migration?
Sure. So we might have schedules that were set up years ago, and maybe nobody's using those results anymore. So it's important to know if this report instance is actually being consumed by people on a recurring basis. That's great. But if it's not, maybe we should look at removing that schedule and freeing up some of our resources for other reports.
Makes good sense. And then obviously in the optimization side, we talk about a lot, I know. First of all, verification. Could you explain a little bit about the verification in terms of for optimization?
Sure. So verifying data output, making sure that our control reports that we're using as a control on our system, if it returns the same values each time it's run on each system that it's run on, validating that content of the system. Also, Jay, looking at risk assessment, looking at security on folders, ensuring that the right groups have the right access to the right folders, and conversely, that the wrong people don't have access to things that they shouldn't have.
Right. Exactly.
And that goes all to this security analysis report, so we can report on what groups have what access to what resources on our system, and being able to verify that and prove that out.
Terrific. Okay. So, Fred, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for taking us through the importance of these steps around system optimization. We'll meet you again for another webinar or another little brief video regarding the test plan. Thank you, Fred.
Thanks, Jay.